welcome back, everyone. It's been a few days. It's always a nice longer break between Tuesday and the next Sunday when we begin streaming again. We've got some changes to the agenda today. No gaming. We got to do a lot of writing today and get deep into that. And you're also going to see some new softwares. We're not going to be writing in Notion. We're just going to be using that as a presentation tool. And you'll be finding some cozy keyboard clicking sounds and some cozy music to really kind of get into that more relaxing vibe. I think I'm going to be working on making this feel like it's quite relaxed. Hey, Adam Eli, so good to have you back in the stream. Really excited to be here with you all today. We're going to start with a little storytelling. I think I'm moving forward. I am going to be telling adjacent myths to the ones that I'm actually working on a story beforehand, and you'll see as we're writing throughout how those actually come to align with that. And so today we are talking about the Hydra, and as you can see, we're using an icon where one splits into two, and that is quite a prescient little icon there. So let's do a little recap. My name's E.I. Werner, and I'm working on a series of 7 original cosmogonic myths that trace the origin of the cosmos, from before beginning when there was absolutely nothing, just an empty void, all the way to the creation of humanity. And you can see we've accomplished a lot so far in this series. We are going through each of the 7 myths, and we're doing first a draft version, and then we're going to turn them into hymns that rhyme, hymns that can be sung as songs, and you guys will be a part of that journey every step of the way. Right now we are working on the 5th myth, which is called Gate, and we've done 1 session on that so far, but today we are going to be continuing to work on that. We just got it kind of rough down on paper. You're breaking up just a bit. Yeah, I've had a little bit of technical issues today with dropping frames here in Athens. There is not that much I can do about it. Unfortunately, I'm just going through with it right now, but there may need to be some more drastic changes with regards to the technology from here in Athens because we have been dropping frames. And I've tried pretty much everything to make it so that we would not drop frames, but there's only so much that I can do from here in Athens while we're broadcasting. So today, before we dive into my own original myth, and I do appreciate you saying that, Adam Eli, because it's important that I create the best possible experience for you viewers, and it's difficult for me to know while I'm streaming what is working and what's not. I found that last stream kind of did start to hit a rhythm and even out despite a few hiccups, and I'm hoping that happens again today. So the story that I want to dive into is one of the most iconic stories in the history of mythology, and that is the story of Heracles and his 12 labors. So now it's all good was just at the very start. Yeah, there are some hiccups at the start here, and there are some issues with broadcasting from Athens that I've had to put in unreasonable amount of effort into trying to align. Those will be easy to fix once I'm back in the States soon. But for now, here we are, and we're going to do the absolute best with what we have. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys this beautiful story, this really powerful but also tragic story of Heracles and the Hydra. So Heracles, he was the son of Zeus, and this mortal woman named Alcmene. It's a little difficult to pronounce outside of the Greek. And what happens is that Zeus's wife, Hera, is not so happy about that love affair because they were quite in love, and she takes out her vengeance on Heracles, and she makes him overcome with a spell of madness. And what happens is, as you can see in this beautiful painting, I don't have an image, Getty Images. This is by far the best, highest resolution picture of the most important painting, which is Heracles is overcome with madness. Hera makes him do that, and he kills his entire family. He murders them in cold blood in the state of his madness. And he is overwrought with grief, and what does he do? Pretty much what all the great heroes do is they go over to the oracle at Delphi and ask for advice, ask for wisdom. And the oracle at Delphi tells him to go and accomplish 12 different labors for King Eurystheus. And so the second of those labors is the Hydra. And what happens with the Hydra here, I'll show you guys this picture while we're doing it. What happens with the Hydra is that it is this disgusting, grotesque monstrosity that has been destroying all of these different towns. And Heracles goes with his cousin Iolaus, and they head into the swamps where the ghastly fumes of the Hydra have overcome the entire lake into this disgusting swamp, and they fire some arrows at it to try to get it to come out. And what happens is when they begin fighting it, what they learn is, and this is extremely relevant to the myth that we're going to be working on, is as fast as one head was smashed, there grew up two. And this is iconic. All of you are probably pretty familiar with this myth. You slice one head off and two come out. And so what ultimately they decided to do was Iolaus, the young cousin, would cauterize the wounds. And so he would take a torch, and whenever they would cut off one of those heads, he would cauterize the wound, and then it wouldn't be able to grow back. And so the first iconic moment that we really need to remember when we're writing in just a few minutes here is this concept of, as far as one head, whenever one head was destroyed, two would grow up. After that, what happens is that when there's only one head left, this head is actually immortal. And this is something to really remember. Even with the cauterization, even with both Heracles and Iolaus attacking the Hydra, there's one head that actually cannot be destroyed, because evil in its core elemental form cannot be so easily destroyed. And so what they have to do is they have to bury it deep in the ground. And the second topic that I really want to make sure that we pick up on is that Heracles takes his arrows and he dips them in the venom of the Hydra to then go ahead and fight. Remember, this is only the second of 12 labors. And so he's going to go ahead and dip his arrows in there and use that poison. And what you're going to find here is that the concept that I really want you to remember is that when you destroy one of these evil serpents, you can actually use their bodies, use their tools to create tools, to create weapons. So that is the other one. And like I said, I actually skipped ahead. You can't always completely destroy evil, and oftentimes in these Greek myths, you are going to have to bury them deep in the ground. And so these are some beautiful portraits of Heracles fighting the Hydra that I wanted to include here. They're just quite stunning, and that is all for our little introduction. I want you to remember those three things while we're writing today. Number one, as fast as one head grew back, two came out. The second is that we're able to dip our arrows in the poison and make them more substantial. And then the third is that you can't actually destroy the Hydra. You need to bury that final head in the ground. And so without further ado, I am going to move to we have a new software here that we're going to be working in, which I think is going to be quite perfect for the sake of writing myths live. Because of this focus mode, you can see that you can really focus on the exact sentence that I'm working on at a time. And so we're going to go ahead and read what we worked on last time. And I totally forgot about the poisonous arrows. Thanks, Adamila. Yeah, it's quite interesting that, you know, there is this paradox of violence wherein, you know, you destroy something and then you destroy one serpent, one thing that's evil, and then two things burst out of it. And yet, when you do actually finish that, there are certain you receive some materials that you can actually fight with. For example, the first labor was the Nemean lion, and Heracles then gets his iconic, you know, lion pelt, which is extremely durable and acts as a sort of lightweight armor, but in addition fills his enemies with cower and fear. So in the first labor, he is able to defeat the lion and then able to use the pelt. And then in the second labor, here we are with the Hydra, he's able to defeat it, and even though it doesn't die forever, he is able to dip his arrows inside the Hydra's blood, which was going to fill it with venom. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and read the myth that we worked on last time. It's going to be quite raw, quite rough. You know, we wrote all of this live last time, and today is going to be a polishing element. Without further ado, unless anybody has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and read what we wrote last time. So from a coursing river of fire and stone, four eye forms twin two hands to see that he foresaw. Twin two hands, another one and another, hold, another one and another, hold one another. One grasps and other reaches, known, unknown. One reaches and other grasps, unknown, known. So let's break this down before we continue. In the last myth, if you guys remember, which was called War, we had these two twin two hands. We had these two forms that fought a battle against evil, Forfang, and what happened was at the end of their battle, they were able to leave a spear and a staff behind for the future people who are going to come and discover them. So no one and so no other should so suffer. They kind of invent writing and the creation of tools. Here in this first bit is that we these forms are created from a coursing river. Two hands are now formed, and they're identical to the ones that came beforehand, except that now they're another one and an other instead of one and other. And of course, they hold one another because they act in accordance with their forms. And so they reach and grasp. Imagine like, those little monkey toys where you have one reaching and one grasping. One is grasping the known and reaching into the unknown. The other is grasping and reaching into the unknown. And they're going around the entire world until they reach before a spire. And at this point, one of them reaches a spear. So they find the spear that was left behind for them. And another grasps a staff. So they find the staff that was left before them. And then they read the story of one another. And I don't like this word read. We're going to probably need a better word here. And I hope you guys can hear those really satisfying writing clicks. Those are new today, as well as this focus software for us to be able to work on. And that way, we're going to kind of create a more vibey element here while I'm writing quietly at different points and also out loud at different points. So they get to this spear and the staff, and on those spear and staff, you have etched the stories of one another. And so when one reaches atop a spire, he's told to behold not. This whole thing is going to need to change. What we're trying to say is that they're going to learn from the spakes of those who came past, from the story of those who came before them, and other roots and other thrusts, and they split twice scaled. They kill their enemy here, and they are able to split it in half, and then from twice scaled spilt, 2 scales and 2 5 spine. And so here we're starting to get into that idea that when you split one serpent, 2 serpents are actually going to spill out from it. And that is why we told that story of the Hydra that came before it. But in addition to that, we also have these 2 scales that fall out of it. So if you kill twice scaled, you get 2 scales. Although you get 2 enemies, these 2 5 spine, you also get 2 scales, and that's going to be extremely important for the end of this myth, because we're going to be using those scales in the same way that Heracles used the blood of the Hydra. We're going to be using these 2 scales that come out of it. And so another, these 2 homies, they continue grasping and reaching. They continue reaching and grasping the known and unknown until they get right back to where they began. And at that point, they encounter 5 spine. One of the enemies that split out of it, and he blocks their way, right? And they kill this bad guy, and ultimately they are able to what splits out of him, right, is going to be 2 7 rattles, so 2 more bad guys, because whenever we have a bad guy that's split, we learn that from the Hydra, from the Heracles Hydra story, we're going to get 2 of them, but we also get 5 spines that we're going to be able to build with. And so when they get back to where they began, they reflect on their journey, and they reckon they've learned really what they've really learned is the paradox of violence. That whenever they kill someone, whenever they kill one of these terrible serpents, 2 serpents actually come out and become alive. But in addition, they also got some materials there. And they feel like this whole entire journey is futile. If they say 3 Fang became 2 twice scale, and twice scale became 2 5 spine, and 5 spine became 2 7 rattle, they're recognizing that they're actually maybe in a worse spot than when they even actually joined, when they even actually began, because there's actually more serpents that are alive here. And so what They decide to take those 5 spines and they decide to build a gate and some walls. And so this is where you get the story of gate. This is where you get that concept of why this myth is called gate, where you are separating the inside from the outside. And they take the spear to lock the gates, and they are shredding the inside out and the inside in and the outside out. And now that they're safe, one of the homies decides to plant their staff in the ground. And they're able to now, because their hands are empty. One of them used the spear to lock the gate, and the other was able to plant the staff. They are able now to hold one another with both of their hands. And so they're really happy. Obviously, this is not the words that we're going to ultimately go with, but they are quite happy as they hold one another and they sway, and are quite grateful to be there. And so time passes while they're wrapped in this happiness. And during this time, that staff that was rooted in the ground, mist and steam, the earth is full of like a fiery molten core, and that heat continues to come up, and it continues to excavate the center of that staff. And so the staff, over time, while they're sitting there swaying and just being happy in their holding of one another, it actually empties out, hollows out, and becomes a flute. And they are woken up by the song. And we have to figure out, we're going to talk about what that song is today. We're going to need to work on that. And that song starts playing, and every single one and every single other that is also outside and in the world begins to gather around outside the gate. And because they want to be closer to the music. And ultimately, another and another decide to let them in because they're generous. And it's incredibly important in pretty much every mythology ever, how you treat guests. And so they welcome in every one another and then lock the gate behind them. What's interesting, though, is that this is going to seem like it's almost like we're trying to tee this up where it's going to appear that it's almost a perfect happy ending where everyone and every other gets to be safe inside the gate. However, we are also going to need to hint that outside the gate, evil, a massive flood is gathering. Evil, you can't just hide away behind the gate. That's going to be the ultimate lesson, is that no matter what you do, you can't just hide evil behind the gate. You're going to need to go out and confront it. So let's get into the actual writing here. From a coursing river of fire and stone, Four-Eye forms between two hands to see that he foresaw. So he's forming the same two forms that he formed in the last myth. The only difference between this form and the forms from last myth is that they're going to be able to find what was left behind for them. And so this is all good. I think we can move on from here. Twin two hands, another one and an other. Keeping in mind that the twin two hands from the last myth were one and other, and now we have one and another one and an other. You can begin to see the poetics, the rhythm that we're going for there. And they hold on to one another. They're acting in accordance with their forms. They have two hands. They hold each other. That's good. One grasps, another reaches into the known and the unknown. One reaches, another grasps into the unknown and the known. Again, this is good. This is solid. This is exactly precisely what they are doing. Until, and these until commas is something that we repeat quite often, until before aspire, one reaches a spear and other grasps a staff. So I like that. That's all good. We are using the words of already how they are traveling to indicate how it is that they come upon these spears. And this is where we're going to need to start getting into the writing here, where we need to work on this together. So if we recall, the way they became a spear and a staff was they took these two fangs and they were ultimately able to etch the story of one another, those who came before them, in the fangs, so that they become a spear and a staff. And they do that, it's the invention of writing, right? So no one, so no other should so suffer, so that other people can learn from the mistakes that they made and not make the same ones. And so now that one and an other have reached these staffs, we need to demonstrate that they are able to grok, they're able to understand this story that came out them. So I don't like the word read, because I think that reading is indicating more eyes. And what they have is they have these physical staffs. They're kind of pouring their hands over to get these etched in runes these glyphs. And so what sort of word should we consider for read? I'm not sure. So they could behold, right? They could, what other word could be good? I like behold because it actually has that concept of holding, right? So not only are they we get to use a word, they could be hold and behold. I think we may want to use both of those words actually, because we've used behold a lot, and in this case, this is a new software. I just accidentally jumped away, but I think it is the correct software for us to write together here live. Behold. I would say they hold and behold. And I'm not sure about story. Let's think about different options here for the story of one and other. Obviously, there are a lot of different words. You could say the tale, you could say the myth. But what are we really trying to accomplish, right? We're trying to say the history, we're trying to say the lessons, we're trying to say the mistakes, right? Of one and other. So I think story is maybe the weakest of all those options. Tale, myth, the sufferings. I think the suffering. And we can even say the sufferings of one another, because before we said that the reason that they wrote is that they wrote so that no one and no other should so suffer. I don't think we need the word the, right? So that can go. Sufferings of one and other. Now let's talk about this. What do they learn, right? So when one another get to the top, they have found that top of spire, sun's glory really makes them vulnerable to being destroyed. And they need to not do that. So they need to learn that when they get to the top of the mountain, they get to the top of the spire. That's when they're going to be the most vulnerable, because they're going to become wrapped, R-A-P-T, and that's going to make them vulnerable to destroy them. So what we need to they're going to need to make a different decision, because they have held and beheld the sufferings of one another. They have learned not to make the same mistakes. So we don't need when one. I think when is implied, right? So you could say, so one reaches the top of spire, is the same as when one reaches the top of spire. The when is kind of implied there. You'll hear me use that word a lot, implied. We're always looking to cut away words and say, do we need that, right? So if you can get rid of a the, if you can get rid of a when, then we should get rid of it. We are also going to capitalize this so one reaches atop the spire. And at this point, we're saying this, okay? So you get to the top. And if you get to the top of the mountain, on one side is dusk, and on the other side is dawn. And well, what I'm trying to indicate here is that one is, instead of looking at dawn, you're supposed to look at dusk. You're supposed to face into the evil, into the darkness. You're supposed to take that moment of grandeur and glory to see further into the depths of the darkness and not to behold sun splendor. So this is dog shit that we wrote from last time. Beholds not sun splendor, but rather dark steps, right? Does he not face sun splendor, right? So we could say turns away, right? Turns his back. What I'm trying to say here is when you get to the top, you need to not face the sun and soak in all that glory for yourself, but you need to face down into the darkest depths. You need to look into the dusk, right? You need to place right in. He's also holding a spear, right? So what I'm trying to say is instead, comma, is what we're trying to say. One thing I'm considering moving forward, guys, is doing kind of a sort of countdown where I put up a goal on the side so people can kind of keep track of what we're working on. And then writing quietly for a few minutes. You could just hear the nice, like almost ASMR-esque clicks of the keyboard. We'll see how that shakes out. Still in a refining phase. I'm also trying to figure out how we're going to optimize this for like vertical clipping and things like that. It's a lot to learn, but it's coming together quite nicely, I think. We can move on from this, but we can mark it. Where? The mouse. The music is beautiful. Oh, Kid Cougar. Are you seeing? I don't see a note from Kid Cougar 008, but I wish I did. And I'm glad to see you guys chatting in there, and I'm glad you guys are hearing the music and vibing here. I think moving forward, it is going to be less speaking and more kind of moments of quiet writing with the keyboard going and the music for vibes, and me trying to accomplish a goal, and then kind of setting a goal, writing quietly for a little while, and then reflecting on it together. And all that music is custom, made by Carson Thatcher, specifically for this project. Vibey writing music. So this is what we're working on here. We've got these two guys, two homies. One has a spear and one has a staff. They've learned from the mistakes of the past, where they would go up to the top of the mountain, top of the spire, and they would be wrapped by sun's splendor. They would be overcome with the beauty and joy of it. that they would be vulnerable to being consumed and destroyed. Now we're saying that the next round of homies, one and other, find the spear and staff that are left behind. They find the lessons that were left behind, and they are going to perform a different action. What I'm thinking is we need to remove the for aspire here, but let me just mark it and we can come back to it. I'll show you what I'm doing in a moment. And what we want to say is, so before aspire, right? So before aspire and other roots. And I think a staff is not quite working, but we will get there. Another root, a staff, and atop aspire, one thrust, a spear, and let's move on. What we're saying is that instead of looking up at the sun, when you get to the top, when you achieve what it is that you sought to accomplish, when you are at the absolute precipice that everyone is aspiring towards, right? The top aspire, where people aspire. It's at that point that you need to not just look at the glory and celebrate. It's at that point that you need to wield that brightness and actually thrust into the darkness. But let's continue. So we can say spear splits twice skill. And then we say from twice scaled spilt, and this is why we started with Heracles today. Because coming out, when you split one of these bad guys, two are going to form. Interesting that I don't see Kiku's comment in the live chat, but I'll make sure to check out why that's happening soon. Spear splits twice scaled from twice scaled spilt, and that's our way of saying when you kill one serpent to come out, split and spilt. You can see there's a one-letter transposition there, which will make it look quite nice on the page. So we get two scales. So we get the scales from the. We get to use the scales, and that's another reason why we spoke about Heracles and his labors, because you actually get the benefit of. You actually get the material benefit of having slain the serpent. So. Two scales come out, 2/5 spine come out. So they continue on. Another and another, grasp reach, known unknown, reach grasp. I think this whole section, let me just. You may have to do it line by line. And this means we'll come back and return to it. Get back to the end and then we'll come back and review it. So spear splits twice scaled, and from twice scaled spilt, 2 scales and 2/5 spine, and this is why we spoke about Heracles, right? You split one of these bad guys, you get 2 more that come out, but you also get the material benefits. You also get these scales, which we're going to use very soon. So we continue on. Another and another, they continue on. Grasp, reach, known, unknown, reach, grasp, unknown, known. This is all good. Until back where they began. There, 1/5 spine blocks their way. I think there's a better way to do this. I think we need to make clear who they're hunting, right? I think it's clear, like right now, I know why they're grasping and reaching, why they're continuing to move around, but I'm not sure that everybody else does. And at this point, they are hunting. So let's come back up. So they're born, they are holding each other, and another reaches, hold one another. We need to say that they're hunting the bag. I think that'll make it more clear. Messed up. One. In this way, we are demonstrating clearly what their mission is. I feel like I had not successfully, good guy foresaw. They compete, they fight. So one grasps, another reaches, known, unknown. One reaches, another grasps, unknown, known. Until before aspire, one reaches a spear, another grasps a staff. All right, let's walk through exactly where we are. So they're hunting this bad guy until, and then they find the staff, and they find the spear, and then they hold and behold the sufferings of one another. I think we may want to add a different word in addition to sufferings, the blank and sufferings of one another, make that onto 2 lines, but we can come back to that. So before this another roots a staff, and the top spire, one thrusts a spear into dark steps. That's a little complicated, but we'll get back there. A spear splits twice scaled from twice scaled spilt, and this is our Hydra element, where if you split 1, you get 2 that spill out, and then we get 5 spine. And now why I went backwards is we want to say that it's clear that they are hunting 5 spine here. So how do we do it here? Well, they hold one another, they hunt 5 spine. So looks like I was just dropping some frames again. It's a little frustrating, but here we are in Athens. Another and another hunt 5 spine. They grasp, reach, known, unknown, reach, grasp, unknown, known, until back there where they began, until what, they find him, right? So there's going to be a bad guy waiting for them until they find him, right? So until and now we need to remove this, right? Blocks their way is not the right terminology here. So they go until backward. They're hunting this guy. They're reaching and grasping. They're grasping and reaching. They're going from the grasping to the known, reaching into the unknown, which is how they move. And when they get back where they began, they find that a 5 spine, the guy that they're hunting, is actually blocking their way. And we needed a more mythological way to say that. So we could say that the 5 spine is between them and where they began. We could say that he hisses. We could say that he... And that is something that I am looking to try to consider, which is that each of the serpents actually, act in accordance with their nature, and have a verb that they get to do, right? Since the one another get to reach and grasp, and back in the myth beforehand in war, we had Forepaw who got to prowl, and we had Eightwing who got to fly. Considering if the 5 spine gets to do anything, and I don't think block is the right word. I do not think block is the right word. I'm confident it's not. What does a spine do? It splinters, right? It spears. It would be nice if we had the SP in the beginning for the rhythm element here. Separate, right? Then you get the SP element, but I'm not sure on that. Disrupts, no. Prevents. Does he separate them? Let's continue on, but we gotta come back to that. Another root to the staff, another thrust the spear. They split 5 spine. The 1, half and half, that's fair. Half and half from 5 spines built, right? So now we're talking about the Hydra again, where we get 2 bad guys, but we get 2 bad guys, but we also get the 5 spines. Okay. Now this is an opportunity for something kind of cool language-wise. So when they get back to where they started, right? So they've accomplished one full orbit, one full loop. They reflect back on everything that's happened, and what they notice is that ultimately they're worse off than when they started, right? So 3 fame became 2 twice scaled. 1 twice scale became 2 5 spine. 5 spine becomes 2 7 rattle. And what they're seeing is that for every single one of these serpents that you destroy, you are getting 2 more. And why I'm saying there's an opportunity from the language perspective is because they're reflecting back where they began, right? So back where they began is where they are, right? So we can start there. And where they're reflecting is everywhere they've been, right? And everywhere they've gone. And I think there's an opportunity for some cool language, right? So what do they reflect on? Max Curtin, this is so money. Going to be a staple for me. I'm so glad, Max. Really appreciate it. I hope it's kind of relaxing. And ultimately, we're going to have a lot of different materials ready so that people can kind of catch up on it, exactly what it is that we're writing. I know that I kind of drop people just right in the middle here. but I'm starting to clip different elements of different summaries so that we can ultimately have people can type in the chat for like talk to a bot, and it'll send you a video of exactly what it is that we're working on today. Kate Cougar reminds me of conversion lessons in culinary school. That's hilarious. Kate Cougar. Kate Cougar's actually a chef, an elite chef. So thank you so much all for joining and swinging by. So where they began, they reflect. And other. So what do they reflect upon, right? They reflect where they've been. And this is just raw, what they've accomplished. The serpents they fought. I think so. Let's go. Love it, brother. Appreciate it, Max. So glad to have you here. We're just really getting started. You'll find that if there's one thing that you can learn at this stage in the stream is that we only get better around here. This whole project is about endurance and not about heroics. It's not about one good stream. It's about showing up again and again and again and again and again until these myths are beautiful, until the stream is really a relaxing place to stay and vibe. And I have a lot of visions for it, but I can only really learn by doing it and by trying it. And so every single time we go live, we do improve. But there is still so much I want to accomplish, so much I want to do with just the quality of the stream and the experience of people actually watching me write, and the ability for people to actually follow along and understand what it is that we're working on. Because if you haven't, this is our 9th session. If you haven't watched all 9 sessions, which is 15 hours plus or something like that of writing, it could be a little bit unclear exactly where it is, what it is that we're working on. And I can't always go back and explain for every single viewer exactly where we are. We need to continue writing. That's why we're all here. But that is all coming, and it's something I'm working really hard on, is the summaries of everything, so that people can take a quick detour over to YouTube, watch a quick clip, and know exactly what it is, what we're working on today. So where they began, one and another reflect on all. So where they began, so they get back to where they began, and one and another, these two homies, they reflect on all the serpents that they split, on everything that they've done, all the bad guys that they've defeated. And where we're at is that what they realize is that first they killed 3 Fang, and that became 2 twice scaled. Then they killed 1 twice scaled, and it became 2 5 spine. And then they kill 1 5 spine, it becomes 2 7 rattle. And ultimately they're significantly worse off than when they came. Because like the Hydra, which is how we open up here, I wouldn't say the stream is any better or worse than it may be in the future. Time is linear. The journey isn't. One good idea could turn into 3 pair, maybe a 3 Fang idea, maybe a twice scaled idea after that. That is such a good point, King Cougar. I absolutely love that. You're completely right. We're going to continue learning here. We have no idea where it's going to end up. I think I have a little bit of a perfectionism in me that I have to fight as part of this project, which is to, I want it to be what it's going to be. But I also feel like just showing up every single one of these for every single one of these streams is really just the key. We just got to keep showing up. We got to keep hosting. We got to keep writing. And I'm always going to be writing. And so that's why it could be such a beautiful aligned endeavor. But let's keep cruising here. I absolutely love that comment, Kid Cougar. That's maybe my favorite comment that I've got so far since beginning this project. So this is what happened. They reflect that every single time they kill a bad guy, they get 2 more bad guys. But in addition to that, if we look back at the Heracles myth where we started, which is why I started there, is that you don't just get 2 more, you also get the materials that come out of it, right? So Heracles, he defeats the Hydra, and even though he's not able to actually destroy the final head, he has to bury it. And even though out of every single one of the necks comes 2 when he severs it, he does get to use the blood of the Hydra. He's able to dip his arrows in that, and those arrows become crucial in his future labors, right? So the Hydra is only the second of 12 labors of Heracles. And so what we get here is that even though we are getting a 2 for every 1 that we kill, we do actually get some materials, right? So we get, from the twice scale, we get 2 scales, right? So let's actually write this instead of just talking about it. I'll show you instead of just tell you. That's an important part of writing, guys. Show, don't tell. So let's go here. And we can say no. So I'm still learning this new software, but I do think it's the right software because of this focus feature for writing live. So we say 1 and other. Take, and take might not be the right word. Take 2 scales. Take 5 spines. Build 1, build 2 gates, let's say, 2 gates, build 5 walls. You can start to see where we're going here with this team. We are taking the materials from the different serpents that we killed, and we are we're building 5 walls. It's not right. This needs to go. That's old. I wish that this software automatically up there. Sometimes it automatically updates the numbers and sometimes doesn't. I'm sure I'll figure out the exact. This is my second day writing it, and I wrote in it last night as a little warm up, but it is only the second day I've been writing it. But you can hear that nice clickety clackety of the keyboard in here, right? I think that's kind of nice. It's pretty satisfying for me too. I hear it also. Question is, do I want to build 5? Do I want to build 2 gates or 1 gate out of 2 scales? Ultimately, we want a 7-sided. We're creating a 7-sided enclosure, sort of Eden, where we keep we shut the inside in and the outside out. And why they're doing that is they're saying one and another. They're saying, look, we've gone back, and every single time we kill one of the bad guys, we get 2 more bad guys. And they're feeling like this entire endeavor is futile. Why even continue hunting these bad guys if every single time I kill one, I get 2 bad guys? And so what they decide to do is they decide to build a 7-sided enclosure, a sort of gated community where they can shut the inside in and the outside out to create a level of safety. They don't want to participate anymore. They just want to be together. And so and the reason why we are using the number 7 is that the number 7 is extraordinarily important in our mythology. So it's going to be 7 sides, and we have 7 myths. We had 7 planets that were born, right? And when you guys see, for those early joiners, this is going to be coming soon. I have these new these badges that are coming out. They're going to have 7 sides as well, and it's going to be to reward everyone. Why don't I actually show you all what that is? Give me a moment here. Do I have this? If we come in here, you guys see my Notion. I'll take a quick breather just to show you guys what's coming. I'm working with this brilliant artist, and what we have is we're going to explore the importance of the number 7 here. And what you'll see is what I created was a very unique septimal number system, right? So this is actually invented by me, where you have, I invented this and I actually created this document where instead of we have a decimal system currently, you actually have a septimal system where instead of base 10, you have base 7. And so the way that that works is like you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then at 10, you need to use 2 digits. For us, you go up to 6, and then at 7, you need to use 2 digits. And so what we're going to be doing is, and you'll see these are going to be much more beautiful, is we're creating these membership badges that are going to be numbered 777. Yeah, there's going to be these membership badges that are going to be numbered based on how early you joined and set up. And we're going to be able to make a poster out of them like this. And they're coming out quite beautiful. We're much further along than this original document would indicate. But this is something, this idea of 7 being a religious and mythological number is something that I'm extremely invested in. And as a part of that, I think one of the most creative elements about this is that I completely invented this septimal number system. It's never existed before like this. It's kind of like Roman numerals, but instead of base 7, they go up to base 6. And I had to really write it out for the artist. He's a very smart guy, but not everybody kind of can think in that way. And the way it works is, I'll just explain it briefly, is like when you have a 10, when you have, like, let's say 11, right? You have 1 10 and 1 1. Let's say you have a 12, you have 1 10 and 2 1s. And this one, we count the number of 7s. So for 25, you're going to say you have 3 7s. That brings you up to 21. And you have 4 1s. And that'll bring you to 25. So I'm going to go ahead and get back into the writing, but just wanted to demonstrate to you guys why we're going to be going for 7-sided this year, is that it's actually all cohesive with the entirety of this project. 7 myths, 7 walls, 7-sided glyph, septimal system, 7 planets, and that's where we are. So come on, I want you to go to 64. It's a little tough for me to figure out. There it goes, it resets. Okay, build 5 walls. So now I'm going to say 1 and another. Close the gate, right? Close the gates. And this is where you can see the language is quite ugly. You know, we really haven't spent any time on it. We just put the ideas down. We need to fix this. So just as you can see, like, it's just very common language. They use the spirit to lock the gates, but obviously we need to be writing in a more mythological register. So they don't maybe close the gates. Maybe they lock the gates. I'm wondering if there's 2 gates or 1 gate. We need 7 sides, but 1 gate can have, like, you know, two doors that kind of open, made out of the 2 scales, if you understand what I'm saying. I don't think gate gets the capital. We can decide that later. For anyone around, if you know, if the music and keyboard volume and everything, and my mic, if everything is sounding good, always trying to improve that. And I can't tweak the settings on everything. spear. No, 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 no. I figured it out. I figured it out. Shit. You see how the numbers, I really need them to stay aligned. Otherwise it'll tilt me to oblivion. But I figured out exactly what we're going to do here too. There it is. So they build the 5 walls, and how are they going to close them? So whenever the guy 1, right? So we have 2 homies. One is called 1 and one is called an other. And 1 is the guy with the spear and an other is the guy with the staff. And 1 is, whenever he uses the spear, he thrusts it, right? That's the verb that we use, his thrust. So 1 thrusts a spear. And we're going to need to change the name from a spear to something cooler. I'm thinking bone spear, blood spear, because that's how they're made, but we'll see. 1 thrust a spear. Clicks to lock the gates, right? You can say Twix. And that's not exactly the language, but I do want to use this word thrust because it makes sense. You know, you kind of like thrust a key in to a lock. I get it. For those people who have been following me along for a long time, you'll know that I often talk about the outside in, right? As a location kind of between the outside and in, and you can see that if I'm locking it, I'm trying to lock the inside in and the outside out. And that's where this concept came from many years ago. Okay. Let's delete all this. Let's we'd walk the inside in and the outside out. What next, right? So where does they're gonna plant the staff, right? Inside. Instead of within. Walls and gates. So what I'm trying to say is now that they're safe, they are able to just able to put down the stuff. And they're gonna be able to hug. You know, so each of them has 2 hands. Before one of their hands was busy, each of their hands was busy. And now we're saying that once she roots one, they'll be able to hold on to each other. It's just So this is raw, but it's kind of cute, you know, with both hands, let's say, with both hands. Hmm. Alright, I'm gonna take a quick break to get around the bathroom. We'll be right back. Continue with the writing. left off. Give you a little reminder. What we had was we have two homies, one and another, and each of them has two hands, okay? And they've been killing these bad guys, these serpents, and they reflect once they get back to where they began. And what they realize is that for every one of the bad guys that they defeated, two come out. And they recognize the futility of their mission, and they recognize the paradox of violence, wherein violence begets violence. A rose is a rose is a rose. And so what they decide to do is they take the scales that they got from twice scaled, and they take the spines that they got from 5 spine, and they build 2 gates, and they build 5 walls. And so this is not exactly the right wording, but we want to take the guy 1, who's the one of them who is using the spear. He's going to use the spear to lock the gate, lock the inside in and the outside out. Once we're inside, the other one who's holding the staff is going to plant the staff now that they're safe inside. And that's where we are. So let's continue on, get back to the end, and then we'll clean up some of the language here. So let's say we often use this this structure where we say, you know, a location, comma, there, comma, is one that we often use, until, comma, upon, comma, and so I think we can say inside. Thing is, now that they're safe inside, another roots the staff, making both of her hands free. And now they can hold one another with both hands. It's obviously going to make them happy, right? So far, the only word that we really use for happy is wrapped. I'm not sure that's the right word here, but it could be, because it consumes all their attention and it has a sort of ecstatic, euphoric undertone, which is what they should feel. And if you're standing before the glory of the sun, which is kind of love, in many ways. That's kind of what it is they are experiencing at this point. And so I don't think that that would be the incorrect word. But the question is, what are they wrapped by, right? Before they were wrapped by the sun's splendor. In this case, they could be wrapped by each other. Now, we're about to use the words each other together to mean like actually other ones and other others, like other entities. But I'm curious. No, that's not what I wanted. That's it. Okay. Let's ask AI really quickly. What's the difference between each other and one word? Is there a difference? I don't even know. Is each other even a word? No major style got recognized the other one. Okay. That's not a real thing. So we can go back to writing. I was wondering if each other as one word was actually a word. Actually, let me ask AI one more thing. Are there words using terms one another where the single word is single combined word is different from the split? You guys see what I'm talking about here? I was wondering if the word each other is actually a word, but it's only a word when they're separate. Yes, and the pattern is pretty consistent. The combined form generalizes while the split form stays specific. Everyone means all the people collectively, but everyone means each individual item. Anyone means any person at all, but anyone singles out a specific individual from a group. Another means an additional verb, but an other, though rare in modern usage, would literally mean a specific other. No one is the odd case out. It never fused into a single word. No one appearing as a common misspelling, probably because the double O looks wrong to English readers. The underlying logic, using the words, blurs the individual components into an abstract whole. Splitting them preserves each word's independent weight, which is a nice property to have available if you're naming characters who need to carry the full semantic force like one another. That's very helpful, actually. Thanks, AI. So what we want to say is what we're trying to say here is that when they're finally safe and they each have two hands free, they're able to hold on to each other with both their hands. And this is similar to that experience of being wrapped by the sun's splendor, where they're overcome with their attention is wrapped, right? It's entirely pulling them in. And on the other hand, in addition, it is also has an ecstatic, euphoric undertone. So, and they're both really happy. They're wrapped by each other, right? So it's kind of a nice idea if you think about it. Your team, we have two people who finally have their hands free. They're finally safe to embrace with both of their hands, and they feel that feeling of rapture by just holding on to one another. Somehow what I need to say is that time is going to pass, right? The way we say that usually here. What I'm saying here is inside while your one and other are holding each other, they're wrapped, and time continues to pass. Ori continues to make more forms. Another one and one, another, right? To continue trying to find, continue to see, therefore I foresaw. During that time also, what we need to have happen is that the staff that we rooted, the staff that we put down, giving us our hands free, heat and mist excavates the center of it to turn it into a flute. So the staff becomes a flute, and imagine the mist kind of pouring out of it, creating a song. That song is going to attract everyone. You know, we just made 2 ones and 2 others, so everyone and every other to the gate, and they're going to ask to be let in. But we need to somehow explain how that staff has its insides excavated out for that, in a way that is clear and easy to understand. I think the question is, where exactly does the staff get rooted? Because if it gets rooted inside that coursing river of fire and stone, that would make sense that those forces, the river of fire and stone, would create the circumstances by which the staff has its internal materials excavated into a flute. And yet I think it could create some confusion, because I don't want another one and another other. Those other people who are formed, they don't form inside, they form outside. And maybe that's the way that we clarify it. Something like outside we can use that parallelism, outside comma, inside comma. It's still not clear. how the staff turns into a flute. Right, so if he roots it down, it's in the ground. And in the ground, deep beneath the ground, is a fiery molten core, right? That has heat. So we could say theoretically inside, the roots go deeper and deeper until they reach the fiery core. Then instead of drinking water, they drink steam. And that steam excavates material in the staff. Now the song is being sung. Affects everyone and every other. music. Yeah, hold each other. Wrapping up here, team, and we'll review what we've got. Back in the view. From coursing river of fire and stone, eye forms between two hands to see that he foresaw. This is a mirroring of the war myth earlier, creating another two hands. Between two hands, another one and other, hold one another, one and another, hunt twice scaled. So these are the exact same people as from the myth right beforehand. The only thing that's going to be different about them is that they are going to find the spear and the staff that were left for them from the people that were there beforehand, the one another that were there beforehand. So one reaches the spear, another grasps the staff, one and another hold and behold the sufferings of one another. That's a nice thing we came up with today. This is what they decide to do based on these learnings, which is instead of facing the sun and beholding light's splendor, they attack into the depth of the night. Spear splits twice scaled, from twice scaled split, two scales, two five spine, another and another. They hunt five spine. So that's the new bad guy that comes out of him. They grasp and reach, known, unknown. They reach and grasp, unknown, known, until back where they began. Their five spine blocks their way. Right, and we're going to come up with a better word for that, but that's fine. And so they use their new tools in order to fight this bad guy, right? So another roots the staff, another thrusts the spear. They split five spine half and half, and from him spilled five spines. So you get the materials, you get the spines that come out of him, and also two bad guys. And that's why we started with the Hydra story. because in addition to the head splitting, you will also get the material benefits of having slain it. So it's not entirely fruitless, the element of destroying these different serpents. Back where they began, they reflect on everything that's happened so far, and they sense that, 3 fame became 2 twice scale became 2 5 spine, 5 fame become 2 7 rattle. Every single time they destroy one serpent to come out, and so it's actually not, they're not really accomplishing much, and they feel that their efforts are slightly futile. So they decide to take the different materials that they did get out, build 2 gates, the 5 spines and the 2 scales, build 2 gates, build 5 walls, and we're using the number 7. That's a religious number of religious importance for us. And they use the spear to lock the gates, to lock the inside in and the outside out. They're safe inside, and so thus the other roots of staff. Put a note for where. And now they're able to hold on to each other with both their hands, which makes them super happy, and they're wrapped by one another. From the coursing river of fire and stone, he forms another 2 of these guys, another 1 and 1, another other and other. So we have more of him coming in now to see that 4 eye 4 saw to continue the prophecy. Obviously, his current homies are inside the gate and thus not performing very well as far as pursuit of the prophecy goes. Outside 4 eye formed, another one, okay, and then inside the roots continue to go deeper and deeper until they reach the fire of core, and so they get, instead of water, they get the theme, which goes up through the roots, excavates material out of the staff, and creates a flute. And that flute, mist continues to pour through it, and that attracts everyone and every other that were just created, who then gather outside the gates, and they knock on the gate because they want to be closer to the music. Obviously, people want to be closer to the music. So one and another open the gate and welcome them in. They're very welcoming, and they lock the gate behind them. They all hold on to each other, and they're wrapped by each other, but outside the storm is gathering. And that is indicating that even though they're inside and they're safe now, they are not going to be safe in the upcoming next story. So we're going to have 2 more writing sessions on this. You're going to see it get quite polished as we continue putting this all together. And but I think that's it for today. I'm feeling a little low energy, a little tired today. But we did get some good work done. We definitely got to the end and made a couple breakthroughs. We had some great visitors and some great comments coming in the chat, which is always appreciated. And you'll find we only get better here on this stream. We only improve. So next stream, I'm sure both the story and the stream and myself will be much improved as always. Sorry, just cleaning this here. So with that, I bid you all Godspeed and